I'm going to adjust my stuff so it looks okay. There we go. Ah! Hello, I'm Mahlena Ray Johnson, and this is for Nerdy Girls with Mahlena Ray Johnson. Today we are talking about Because of Racism, why I wrote my fourth book, Love It a Luau, available May 1st, 2018. Pre-order now. So I guess if you're watching this in the future, you could just go order it. But today is April 30th, 2018, so it's the day before it comes out. So Mahlena explains how centuries of whitewashing of Asian and Pacific Islander actors and media inspired her to write her latest book. And now she, that's me, is writing another book called But You Have No Idea, about infidelity, betrayal, and polyamory, with more characters of Asian and Pacific Islander descent. Also Black, others too. Diversity, let's watch. So who am I? I am Mahlena Ray Johnson, and I went to Loyola Marymount University for film school. I went to the University of Southern California for business school, where I got my MBA in marketing, entertainment, and entrepreneurship. And over the past 10 years, still 10 years, yes, I have done, what have I done? I have written 3 books. Actually, I've written 4 books now. I just said it right there. I have written 4 books. And one of them is Love It a Luau. And it's about a refugee suffering from PTSD who is scared to fall in love with a single dad. And in addition to that, I have done hundreds of informational interviews and coffee chats, and I've gone to hundreds of networking events and conferences, and I've connected with thousands of people. So if you're here trying to figure out, does this networking thing actually work? Yes, it does, and I can help you with that. Also, I'm here to tell you about a book. Let's see. Oh, yes, it is. It is important to talk to you about how networking fits in with my book. So let me tell you the story first of why I decided to write this book, and I will show you how networking has fit into that in my life. All right, so my book, Love It a Luau, as I said, is about a refugee suffering from PTSD who's scared to fall in love with a single dad. How I decided to write this last year is it pretty much was me being inspired by the stuff that I already do, which is watch a lot of TV. I mean, I watch probably less TV now and listen to more podcasts and watch a lot of things on demand. But the thing that came up was when I was on Twitter. I was very active on Twitter for a while and not so much in 2018. But there was a confluence of events that snowballed. There was the Margaret Cho being harassed by Tilda Swinton about why Tilda shouldn't be playing a character that was supposed to be an old Asian man when she is a middle-aged white woman. And what really pushed me over the edge was the Iron Fist controversy. Now, you may not know about Iron Fist. If you do, great. But the controversy was that Iron Fist is a show on Netflix. And when it was being cast, people who had heard about this, it's part of the Marvel universe, so people were excited about it, and they said, oh, Iron Fist, that is an outdated story from the 70s, similar to Kung Fu, which was played by David Carradine, who was a white man in yellow face. And Iron Fist was about a white man in China who was the best martial artist, and he went to China, learned martial arts, came back to the United States to take over his billionaire family's company. And some people said, maybe that's not the right story to be telling in the 2010s. Maybe you could have Danny Rand, that's his name, that's who Iron Fist is. Yes. Maybe you could have him played by a person of Asian descent, and then they go to China, they grow up in China, learn martial arts, and they come back to the United States where their family is, and they're caught between 2 different continents, 2 different countries, because they don't feel like they fit in China, and they feel like they don't really fit in the United States. So one of the people who auditioned for the part was Louis Tan, who is an actor of Asian descent. He is Hapa, and he is also British, and he is also, most importantly, studied martial arts his whole life. He is an actor and a model, and pretty compelling. And the cast, I guess he got through a lot of rounds, and then ultimately the casting director said no. They went with Finn, somebody who is not that great of an actor, is not a model, has not studied martial arts, but he is white, so they chose him. And it's like, what? Why did you just choose the person who is obviously made for this role? So the problem was that the person playing Iron Fist is not so great. The person who auditioned got a small part in the show, Lewis, and it sparked off this controversy of why would you even make a show about some white guy doing martial arts and being the best in the world, because clearly that sounds stupid. So I was like, this is so annoying, and I am inspired to write a book, inspired to actually do something with the story that I'd already been coming up with. And in my book, Love It a Luau, the main character, her name is Casey. She is a 34-year-old woman from Southern California who happens to be Chicana, and two of her love interests in the book are of Asian and Pacific Islander descent. So I wanted to do that specifically, partially because the story takes place on an island in the Pacific off the coast of Hawaii. It's 3 hours south of Oahu by boat. And logically, people who there'd be a higher than likely chance that a person who was from an island in the Pacific, especially next to Hawaii, is going to be to have some Asian and or Pacific Island ancestry. So I wanted to include that in the book. And I didn't just do it in two characters. I did it throughout the book to try to reflect how this specific island, which is imaginary, would be influenced by Hawaiian culture and other cultures of Polynesia and Oceania and Asia, and especially America, in a specific way. I wanted to bring that in, probably mostly because I thought it would make sense, but also that's similar to how I grew up on a completely different island in another ocean called St. Thomas. A lot of what I experienced growing up on St. Thomas was that we're definitely an American island. There's no getting around the fact that the U.S. Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico are very much influenced by America. We're also in the Caribbean, so we're influenced by a lot of different things all at the same time, and that sort of melange of cultures just coexisting, and not always peacefully, but just all of it being there was something that I wanted to put into my book. And I wanted to show, particularly in this book, that there isn't just one way to be a certain type of person. So I happen to be Black. I also happen to be American, and those things are important, but they're not the only things about me. I'm also a lady. I also like watching TV a lot, and I wanted to have that be a part of the book. I can't represent every culture in the world because there's over 150 countries, there's thousands of religions, there's lots of different shades of colors, but I did want, especially in this book, a lot of these characters I had already created, but I wanted to show that you don't have to have a story. You can have different characters that are from different backgrounds, and they're not really that different because they all have been heavily influenced by American culture, and they can just be there and be fine. It's not like you have to do super duper extra work. There's definitely work I did to try to incorporate foods from Hawaii and foods from Southern California that I like, that I thought that Casey might suggest, and stuff like fruit, and stew and soup and other stuff that happens in Los Angeles, like Korean fusion foods. So my point in this is, I did write this book because of racism and the racism that people of all colors face in the entertainment, and I wanted to do something about it. And I had an idea, so I put it all in the paper and said, I'm going to finish this book, and I did. Yay! How does networking fit into this? the way it fits into this is that I've been talking about this book since I started it last year, back in 2017, and keeping people apprised of what chapter I was on, and that really picked up in 2018. But I've been talking about it in different groups and saying, here's where I'm at, here's what I'm doing, and letting people know. And there have been people who have pre-ordered the book because of what I've been talking about for the past year now, almost. It might be over a year now, but I've been talking about this for a year, and these are people some of them I've met in person, so it's not that weird, but there are people I've never met in person who know about this book, who have pre-ordered the book, and that can be the power of networking for you. There are people I've had one-on-one conversations with video coffee chats, but these are some of the people who are pre-ordering the book are people I did not know a year ago, and who I met solely through Facebook and had Facebook chats with. There are people that I have known for years for decades now, who I know in person, and they're probably not going to buy my book because they're like, whatever. But some of them will. Yay, thank you. What I want to impart to you is that I took something that I was inspired by, and I had a story, and I had themes, and I had things that spoke to me based on how I grew up and the things that I liked about growing up. There's stuff that I didn't like about how I grew up, especially the homophobia that is present in I guess all over the world, but particularly when I was growing up in St. Thomas, I didn't like that. There's other stuff like that we've never had a female governor, even though Black women are running everything in the Virgin Islands. Like, why can't we just have, we do have female representatives. We have had female representatives to Congress, but it'd be nice to have a governor and lots of other stuff. But the things that I liked about St. Thomas are things that I put into this book that I saw when I visited Hawaii, and that there are a lot of different cultures, and there's an American influence, and there's a tension, but also a harmony that goes along with that, and recognizing that not everyone in America looks like the people on Fox News. There are lots of different ways to be an American and lots of different ways to live in America, and this was one of the things that I wanted to reflect in the different characters that I have. And then my next book that I'm working on, but you have no idea, is similar in that it's a parallel novel. So there are characters that know the characters in this book, and it takes place on the same timeline approximately, and the end of the next book that I'm writing, but you have no idea, includes characters from Love of the Luau. So Love of the Luau has an eventual happy ending. They will be, all the people that you saw, that you read about in this book, will be at the end of But You Have No Idea. And they similarly have a lot of different backgrounds, many of them American. One of them is not from Earth at all, but so I don't really know how to describe her as much. Her name's Delta. And this book was also about things that I saw and things that I learned about and different ways to be. It's specifically about polyamory, and I think it may be an allegory or similar to other things that I have read about. Just the concept of recognizing that there are different ways to be in the world, and you don't have to be one way. And there's a lot about acceptance. And even though the four different characters, the main character, Noah, is of Native Hawaiian descent on both sides. Her husband, Moro, was born in Egypt to a Pakistani mother, and he doesn't know about his father, and he was adopted. And the other character, Sasha, is Black and American, and her family is very proud of that. They're people who have been comfortable for a while, not excessively wealthy. And then there is Antonio, who is having the affair with Noah, or had an affair with Noah, and I guess they're continuing. And he is of Chinese descent from Mexico and Jamaica. So there are there's entire populations of people of Chinese descent in Mexico and in Jamaica, and they don't really get seen because because that just isn't talked about, like the concept that Jamaica has a lot of people and the Caribbean has a lot of different people all over. So what I want to express to you is that if there's something that you feel passionately about, you don't necessarily have to find someone who fully understands what you're talking about for them to accept it. There are people who haven't, I mean, most people haven't read the book yet. So there are people who are going to be excited by your excitement about what you're doing, and that's okay. You don't have to find everybody who completely gets what you're doing already. Once you start talking about it, people are going to get excited about it, and they're going to get excited about you, and they're going to be excited to support you. So don't worry about being understood and having your message completely together when you're going out and talking to people in person or even online. Just know that your enthusiasm about your projects and your products and your services will attract the right people to you who have a similar mindset and a similar vision and heart, or want to share your vision and your heart. That is what I want to leave you with today. And if you think, oh my gosh, Mahlena is amazing, I had to read her book, there's a link up there. It's on Amazon. You can also just search on Amazon for Love It at Luau. And if you want to say, yes, I'm ready to do some more networking, can Mahlena help me with that? I can help you with that with a networking strategy session. So email me at fornerdygirls@gmail.com to learn more about how we can help you make a networking strategy to get you the success that you need in your career and your business. All right, so again, fornerdygirls@gmail.com if you have questions, concerns, comments, or if you want to schedule your networking strategy session with me. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.